Check.
Welcome to Wickerson Studios. I am playing around with my trig functions and having fun with my Wickerson Studios math nodes. And I've got these math library enumeration 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I don't know what happened to 4, but we're on to 5. Um, and you can see what we have going on here is we're generating some pretty cool 1, 2, and 3-dimensional, if you can think of it that way, forms. And they're pretty infinite surfaces. And they're all made from basic nodes. So this little one here, preview, maybe I have to enable it. Preview on. Of course, I haven't turned on the other nodes, but that's a nice simple script using math and trigonometry to start generating some forms. That one's not so exciting. What I ended up making was a nested loop so I could go in the ij or xy direction. And that one's as nice as well, but of course it's not running because the other ones are disabled. But then when I got into a triple nested loop with XYZ or IJK, this one really started to take off, and I changed my stop, and I was able to produce some pretty interesting things. What I'm doing is I'm going in and I'm using a lot of this knowledge here and trying to get into multi-parameter, multi-attributes into each of these functions and get as many of them active so I can start producing some trigonometric geometries that could be jewelry or furniture or architecture or just plain abstract sculpture. And I'm very excited about that because it's not too hard. What's being outputted is a list of points. In almost every single case, there's 1,000 points being generated here. In this one, I'm taking them through basically into meshes and into surfaces. If I can kick this one up a notch, let's turn that one off. You see you can play off of some pretty interesting forms here. And I'm just baking the ones I kind of like. So this one I did like. The mesh that coincides with that is pretty sweet as well, if you want to take a look at that. Of course, that's just your pretty much standard kind of abstracted kind of mesh, which is nice. I'll just center this so we can spin it around a little bit. Have a look at it. Pull your surface, and of course you have to play a little bit with your U count to make that work at times. It doesn't work under every case, and the scripts sometimes slow down a little bit. Let me pull it back up to 20. And there we go. It should be reading there. Oh, I went off to 21. There we go. We should have that form. And then, of course, I went to 19. That's just the nature of this. Hopefully that's it. Oh, okay. Now we're just getting fed up. We're going to type in 20 U count, and that should work out fine. It'll take a little bit of time to run. And then I have a nice extrusion that really informs it. And I like this kind of whirly gig of extrusions. I just have to get this one a little bit out of the way because it seems to be trying to interrupt my scripts. And I've got a little bit of a rotation on this one as well, so I can look at it in one way and look at it in another way. But that's basically what these nodes do. And what's nice is as you get into here and start generating different surfaces, this one I'm not going to bake because it's a mesh, but let's take a look at the surface. And as you play through the enumeration in the three-dimensional route, you can kind of see as you go. It takes a little bit of time. You can really blast it depending on the functions that are in use. And they do take a little bit of time to run. Some of them get totally out of hand. And you'll have to play back your numbers a little bit. And everything that you kind of produce, you've got to find your U count that actually works with it. So it'll show you if it plays out right here, if it's working or not. That one actually is. You've got this very nice little shape. I like that one. Let me turn off this for the XYZ and disable that one, and we'll go up into this one, which actually produces pretty faster moving scripts. And you can jump into here and grab your geometry and see what you have. And I like this little table unit. It's actually quite subtle and quite nice, at least in my opinion, that you're actually going in, you're generating this kind of form that could be just kind of subtly played off and shifted. I think I have it over here, or one of these I actually chose in the top view. I liked it from the top. And I think of that as kind of a slanted desk. But yeah, you end up with all these different geometries. You can play with them in any way. I've got 20 iterations through this one. So you can see it kind of doing a bunch of crazy stuff as I go. This one, where'd you go? I thought, yeah, it was this one here because the other one's in yellow. Nice little subtlety. But it plays with the maths, and not only that, as you create it, oops, as you do and create these kind of geometries from these points, let's keep in mind that we want to just see the surface. Well, if you want to see the mesh that goes with it constructed, or if you want to see the lofted extruded curve, which can be nice, but sometimes it gets a little too flat like this one. That's why I pushed it into 3 dimensions. But it's a little node system for producing geometries through a whole bunch of different enumerations. You see it kind of does its little do-si-do no matter what. And I can crank this one back up to the f-stop all the way. And you have pretty nice control. And once again, you've got to subtly make sure your UV count works with each one. Otherwise, it will kind of fuzz out on you. So let me grab back in there. I think it was 11. Yeah, so that's basically it. There's nothing too tricky about it. Just producing geometries that you might like using a lot of trig and forms that you may never come to. This one I'll have to remember how I made that one. This little red one down here, and bake that one in. But it's pretty sweet how that actually chose to do it. And if you want to take a look at the shaded, you get some really nice data. And these curves are not so blasted and crazy. I think I have an EMAP on this one, so I'll just take it off. And we'll go back to top view, maybe perspective view. And you can see the geometries are actually pretty neat and tidy and actually work fairly nicely. Some are a little crazy, but some are really nice, subtly and beautifully made. Some are meshes in case you want to go to fabrication, and other ones are onto freeform kind of NURBS surfaces and curves driven by that. But that's what these nodes do. There's 3 of them. They're not too hard to figure out. Take them all to enable, and now all of them are being baked there at the same time. I'll put them all on there, and you start to see the big monster mess of points and what's actually being generated. But out of that cluster of nonsense comes all of these different functions. And of course, those Wickerson Studio nodes are where I'm kind of thinking of my own kind of plugins. Anyway, thought I'd ramble on a little bit. That's what I'm up to today, 6 minutes. Have fun. I think I'll share it. Not that I really have any plan with it, but the idea of having a trig room or a trig space with furnishings and cups and saucers and chairs and sculptures and lighting really appeals to me, and all the power to you if you can get into here and start to find out the power of all of these wonderful math functions. So that's it. And back to the drawing board.